Welcome to another episode of CHP Sports. I am one of your two hosts, Anthony DeRazio, and to my left is Kenny Barber. Kenny, how you doing today?
Doing good. Hanging in there.
We are back from I believe, 2-week hiatus. So hopefully everyone out there that's watching this had a great holiday season, and their 2022 is off to a amazing start. So happy 2022 and New Year to everyone. And we are coming off of, we're recording this on Tuesday morning, so the same day it should go out. And I know I am just furious after watching that shit show that was the Browns game last night. Yeah.
I caught pieces of the end. I knew that you were probably not happy with that. From a neutral perspective, right?
I'm
talk
me off the ledge here, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm not really like I don't have a preference either way with those teams, right? But I thought it was cool kind of how Ben went out. Not ideal for you, right?
Right.
For him, it's his last home game. He kind of they scored on what I thought was the last drive. I saw that, right, and then another interception, and they get the ball back, and then he ends up with the ball to finish the game. So as bad as they went for the Browns, it was kind of cool to see that for him, right? Like as far as your last home game ever, right? Decorated career, been in Pittsburgh for his whole career, so that was cool. But the Browns, I don't know what it is. I feel like it's the same stuff that I see with the Broncos. The offense just doesn't work. Whatever the scheme is of it, whatever their intentions are, it's just not working, right?
Yeah, it's broken.
It really is. And you think a team like that with such a strong running game, you think it could be easier, right? Yeah.
Kenny, I don't understand. Like, me and everyone else in the world doesn't understand what the game plan was that Stefanski was calling. I know historically we have tried to maybe establish the pass earlier in the game, and we've talked about this.
Yeah.
In order to run it later, right? Because the teams want to load the box because they know we can run the ball. So they can load the box, so we try and throw it. But we are playing literally the worst rated NFL rush defense in the league. We have one of the probably top 5 backs in the league who's a Pro Bowler.
Easily,
we gave him the ball 4 times in the first half.
And that's why I don't understand it. I really don't. And take a team like the Eagles now, right? Who has flipped the script, right? Remember early in the year, I had Miles Sanders on my fantasy team. He had 3 rushes one game. 3. Now they're the top rushing team in the league, and they're 7-2 in their last 9 games or something like that. So it doesn't. Look at the Titans, right? They turned it around, even with Derrick Henry out. They ran the crap out of the ball this weekend, and so look with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, they lost, but they're running the ball more. They're playing better defense. You think that people would figure that formula out? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't. What's even more confusing to me than the fact that we weren't running it more in the first half, especially in the early part of the second half, is why. I mean, this is something Stefanski's done the entire time he's been there, so at least he's been consistent, is he likes to alternate series with the backs, which I understand, right? To an extent where you're trying to keep guys fresh for the later in the game and for the year as a whole, right? And that works when your backs are Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
But right now we've got Nick Chubb and Dearness Johnson, who, fair play to him, has been great all year long when he's come in. He had that big game when both Chubb and Kareem were out. No, so he's a very good back, but he's not Nick Chubb. So why do you take your Pro Bowler out in a game that, I don't know I guess I don't know the reasoning. Is it because the thought is, hey, we're already eliminated from playoff contention, so we're trying to not injure him for the future? Well, why play him at all? If that's the thinking, why play him at all?
Right? Yeah, what do you like you said, what are you saving him for at this point, right?
Yeah, what are you how much this game means to the fan base, right? The fans, this is It hasn't really been a rivalry from the Pittsburgh side because all they've done is big brother us for 20 years when Ben's been the quarterback. Yeah. But from the fan side, like, we hate them, right? Being a Browns fan for the last 40 years, we hate them. They hate us, and that's fine, right? As a sports rivalry, it's great.
Yeah.
But it's infuriating, like, as a fan, because other than last year where we beat them, to get in the playoffs and then beat them in the wild card round, like, we have nothing to point at, right? They've just owned us. And it's infuriating. And so it's like, it means a lot to the fans. As if you're Stefanski, in some cases it's going to be a referendum on your season and how you are as a coach, because yes, you just got eliminated from playoff contention. Are the guys still going to play hard? Are you still going to come out and put in a good effort? And fair play to the defense. Defense played really well. Yes, they got a garbage touchdown at the end.
Yeah,
but they basically got 19 points, right? If you ignore that garbage touchdown at the end. So the defense played really well, and especially considering that by the end of the game, I think we had one starter in our secondary actually uninjured. I think, Greg Newsome was the only starter from the secondary that was still playing. Everyone else went out. We were on our fourth string safety, I think. So with that in mind, defense, fair play, did well. Our offense, though, is horrible. Like, Mayfield, I don't know if it's I think it's a combination of, the injuries, his confidence is clearly shot. He's missing reads. Like, the first interception he threw was just a horrid pass. Like, he had, like, as he's throwing the ball, I'm like, why isn't he going to the wide open guy underneath? That's a first down. Right? It was a first down throw.
Yeah.
And he just forced it into tight coverage. It got picked because he's not as accurate as he is when he's not injured. And it's, and that's the other reason why it's so frustrating that we didn't go to the run. You have a quarterback that is struggling, right? For whatever reason, he's struggling. He's not playing well. And they've got a good pass rush. Like, TJ Watt's an animal. Run the ball. Like, make them hold up, pause before they rush your passer. Like, at least, like, think about, maybe they're running the ball. So it was an infuriating game to watch.
But you make a great point. Like, you have a QB that is hurt, right? We know this. He hasn't been right in weeks, right? So why are we forcing him to be something he's not, first of all? And he's already hurt. You're putting him in bad situations. If we look at even stats, like, they threw the ball 38 times and rushed the ball 20 times. Right? So not much balance there at all. That's almost 2-1, right? Yeah, maybe you're down at the end and you're trying to come back, but it was only 19-14 at the end of the game. So never really too far out of it, right? So 12 carries for Chubb. That's like, that guy should have 20 carries.
At least,
right? 20 touches at least on the ground, maybe a couple catches, something like that. But, the 16 for 38 passing, right? I mean,
it's horrid.
Yeah, it's not good. And it's, that for me, right? Again, I'm just comparing to the Broncos because very similar seasons, 7-8 wins. Times where you're like, oh, they're going to be okay. And then you're like, maybe not. Decent defense, right? Good running back. We have a great rookie running back. And we have two quarterbacks that could throw the ball. And we have tons of specialty guys, right? Tons of receivers that are good, a good tight end. And 3 points, 10 points. Like, this is what they're putting up. So for me, it's like, is this a scheme thing? Is this, like, it's not like they don't have the players. It's very similar with Cleveland. They have a good defense. They have a good running back. They have some good receivers. Like, the parts are there, right? But is it just the quarterbacks, or is it the scheme, or is it just the calls, a series of calls? Like, are they setting up the run? Are they, right? All these things. Are they setting up the pass from the run? Are they doing play action? You see the teams that make it look easy, right? And yeah, some have great quarterbacks, right? And that is what it is. But you look at a team like the Patriots. Everybody hates to talk about it, but like, they have a winning formula, right? They win games, they win ugly games, right? But they run the ball effectively. They throw when they need to. They play good defense, right? And they have good front play, line play. So you think that, like, other teams will kind of catch on to that, but especially a team that won so much throughout the last.
It's weird.
20 years.
I would say you probably saw this with the Broncos, because you obviously watch them more than the Browns, and I watch the Browns more than the Broncos, is that there were times when it did look easy, right? Where the Browns would march down the field and you'd be like, no, we're a juggernaut. No one can stop us. And then you have outings like both times we played Pittsburgh where we look inept.
Yeah.
And part of it's, our first drives are usually pretty good, but, we have 2 drops on our first drive of the game. So it immediately stalls when we punt, right? Austin Hooper, I would cut. I think he's not worth the money. When he's playing well, he's good, but I don't think we get anything more from him than we get from our other tight ends, right? So I cut him. I don't know what you do with Mayfield, right? I mean, the Browns have already picked up his 5th-year option, right? You can't extend him at this point. There's no way, right? You can't extend him.
And like you said, it's hard to tell what you're getting, right? We've seen him do
exactly.
Good things.
You have no clue. Like if it's the injuries and he comes back. Now I was reading a stat before last night's game where before he was injured this year, before he separated his shoulder, he had an 82% completion rate in that first game and a half.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing great, just better than last year. And since that injury, he's had a completion rate of 56% or something.
Yeah, they were talking
probably
about that
50%.
On maybe ESPN or something about how it's affecting his motion, right? Even though it's his non-throwing arm, coming through on your throw, it's affecting things, especially throwing off balance or on the run. And and it comes back to, you look at Odell Beckham, right? He's gone, he's on the Rams, and he's killing it over there, right? Yeah,
he's playing out of his mind.
Yeah, so it's maybe he did have a beef, maybe something.
Yeah, it's hard to watch OBJ, and I'm happy for the guy. I hold, as a fan, I personally don't hold any grudges. The way he forced his way out with the dad thing was not the best thing.
Yeah.
But, given how he's playing, obviously it wasn't working in Cleveland. He's happier. The Browns are probably happier that, because it wasn't working. But it is confusing that someone with that much talent, and not so much Baker maybe this year with the injuries, but last year when Baker was, basically 100% Baker. And yes, OBJ was out the back half of the year, but even before that, when he was playing, before the I think ACL injury to OBJ, they just didn't have chemistry, and it is beyond confusing why it didn't work.
You'd think all right, I got that guy on my team, I'm probably going to throw him the ball a bunch, right? He's going to make some plays. He's had more production in just how many games with the Rams? 4 or 5.
Yeah.
More touchdowns than I think than he had the whole time in Cleveland already.
He's basically averaging a touchdown a game. Yeah. I mean, he basically, that catch he had on 4th down this weekend to keep that drive going, and then scoring on I think that was the next play he got the touchdown on.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
But that's what I mean. That's a guy where if he's on my team, that's who I'm looking for down at the goal line. He's always seems to be open, right? He's got great hands.
Well, and part of me that makes me think it was scheme, right?
Yeah,
or
that's what
they
that's
just
what
weren't
I'm
on the same page, because there were times where you could tell Baker was looking for him. Having watched the Browns the last 4 years, however long OBJ was on the team, their Baker was trying to force him the ball, and it stalled the offense. The offense didn't work when that happened. Now, you could say watching OBJ, for Los Angeles, he's able to get open. So why weren't we putting him? Is Baker not able to throw the routes that OBJ is comfortable on to get open?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it OBJ does better on option routes, and Baker, for whatever reason, they couldn't get on the same page on option routes? I don't know. I don't have the,
because if I'm the Browns,
11s.
I'm probably looking at old Giants films and seeing what plays he ran really well. You know what I mean? And doing repeating stuff like that, right? Just things where it just he does them easily. Hey, what was your favorite play with the Giants? All right, let's do that play too. And we make it work, right? So it's baffling, right? And again, Denver has a similar guy in Sutton, right? That big all-pro type wide receiver, and Judy, right? These guys that are Patrick was a Pro Bowler last year. He was their 3rd string wide receiver, and last year he was really good. Noah Fant, phenomenal receivers, And the end of the first half, I think we had 3 points on Sunday.
Yeah.
But, like, this is like we still had a chance, right, at the playoffs. 1,000 things had to happen, right? But
Right.
this is what we're doing. We have 3 points. Like, I don't get it.
But you're still not mathematically out of it, right? You're still technically in it. So
yeah, you think they'd come out and have some, and not that the players weren't playing. It was just awful to watch on offense. Awful, like so bad. And the Chargers.
What do you think? So I'll get your opinion on the Broncos, and I'll give you my thoughts on the Browns. What do you think changes for next year? Do you see coaching staff changes? Do you see what personnel changes, or at least would you make if you're GM? You have all the power. What do you do?
I mean, I'm cleaning house. The staff is not working. I watched a pretty cool segment on Fox Sports 1. I think it was like basically about head coaches being offensive coordinators now and how that's translating much better to wins in the league versus the defensive minded, right? Now, look, I know I mentioned kind of that recipe that works, right? Run the ball, throw when needed, right? But if we're looking at overall wins, I think Denver needs a more offensive minded coach. We have always had a solid defense. That's never been the issue. There seems to be some sort of lack of scheme or imagination. If we had no players, I would be like, it's just we don't have any talent, right? But we keep drafting all these talented offensive players and still not ending up with anything. I also think if we really want to win in the league, you need a top 10 quarterback. That's kind of just like a prerequisite. We don't have that. I don't know if Locke is potentially that. He's very Baker Mayfield-ish to me as far as their style, their look, big arm. Like, he's got a good arm, but he just never does anything. Again, I don't know if it's a scheme thing. I don't know if that's it, but there's talk of Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers is always thrown out there. I don't know if he ever leaves, but I wouldn't mind a Russell Wilson in my Denver uniform. So, we'll see. I think.
Do you see Russell Wilson getting out of Seattle after this year?
I think he will, and I think Denver's a huge potential spot for him. He doesn't. He seems off this year. I know he had the injury. Doesn't seem like. I mean, that used to be like. They were like this. You could tell they were a tight team. It's a different feel
this
this year.
Up there right now.
Yeah. There's just too many things have changed, I think, and maybe it's time. Sometimes it happens. The guy's been a staple there, all pro, phenomenal player, person, overall. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if he went to the Broncos at all. I love that guy on your team. He's a fighter. He's a winner. It seems like things aren't going well up there, for whatever reason. They've had a lot of change in the last 5 years, probably since the Super Bowl, right? Since that one Super Bowl. I think Denver needs to do something drastic. I think it's not working. Cool, we're a 6 to 8 win team every year, or sometimes less, and that's all we'll ever be with what is there. They need a franchise QB. They need a coach that can scheme a little better and be a little more offensive minded. I think so. We'll see. Defensively, we always seem pretty solid, right? It's never like a huge glaring weakness of ours. But who knows what the future holds? They might keep the guy. I don't know. That wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I think it's the Browns. I don't think you get rid of Stefanski. I think he's done too much with the franchise. I think my dad was talking about this. So shout out to my father because he watches this usually. But he mentioned that probably not having him call plays and having an actual. I think maybe my brother also said this. Actually having an actual offensive coordinator that is actually calling the plays is probably the way to go. Because Stefanski, and this is something we've seen all year, is that our first drive is usually great, and then it's like we don't adjust or our adjustments are too slow. I don't know what it is. So I would say, something with the offense quarter. Like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of people on offense that are gone. I think Hooper's gone. I think I don't know. Our wide receivers, I can't figure out how good they are. I think part of it comes on the quarterbacking, right? Is it the quarterback?
Yeah.
Is it the wide receivers? Is it
The scheme, the quarterback? Who
the
knows?
scheme? What exactly is the issue? I really like Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
Is he for our offense? And if he gets back the connection he had with Mayfield the last 2 years, he's worth the money. He's the phenomenal guy. If he has the connection he had with Mayfield this year, which wasn't that good, now again, for whatever reason, he's probably not worth what we're paying him. And so I could see him easily, because I think he might be a free agent, so I can easily see him walking. Especially given that he's friends with Odell, and given what who knows what happened behind the scenes, how that all played out. So I don't know. I mean, you've already picked up Baker. I think you're in a tough spot with that because his trade value is so diminished at this point. You can't really trade him and get anything.
No.
Because where his ceiling pretty much is, I think, at this point, right? So he can take you to the playoffs. He can win you a game if he's healthy. So because you've already signed him on, he's still on his rookie deal. He's effectively your quarterback for next year. I don't think you can bring in another quarterback because I think I think that undermines Baker, and that's not going to help him play better. I think Case Keenum's kind of like the perfect guy. Now we don't play him at all, so
yeah.
So I think you run it back and say, look, worst case we're putting out Case Keenum. He can't be any worse than Baker was this year. In best case, Baker's back to where he was a year ago, and a top 12 or so quarterback.
And if you look at the list, I just looked up potential free agent 2022 quarterbacks. There's quite a list of guys that are going to be available next year, and most of them have, you guessed it, the Broncos and the Browns as potential landing spots for these guys.
Yeah.
So, and it starts with Aaron Rodgers, right? He's a.
I don't see him moving.
I don't think he will either.
They're playing too well. I mean, I think they're a flawed team. I can see them.
Well, like last year,
I can see them losing badly. Actually,
it wouldn't surprise me if they lost, but it would in the same sense. But it wouldn't. They like last year when they lost to Tampa. Like,
well, I mean, this is what's frustrating about the Browns, right? We play them we lost by a field goal to them, and we were shorthanded a couple guys because of the COVID stuff. They can't stop the run. You put them against a team that can run, they can't stop it.
Yeah.
Now the issue is, I was hearing someone talk about this the last couple of days. Is there a team in the NFC that actually is built that way that's going to the playoffs? And the answer is no. All those teams in the AFC. Right?
Yeah.
It's all the teams that would potentially give them trouble, like a Titans team. Sorry,
Titans, somebody like that. Yeah.
Someone like the Titans, they're only going to see in the Super Bowl. So
yeah. So it's a good point. I mean,
and if you see them in the Super Bowl, it's not going to be a cold weather game, just by definition.
Yeah.
So
and then you have Rodgers, you have Russell Wilson, right? And he's got tons of different potential spots.
Yeah, I see him moving. I don't know what to wear, but I see him moving.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, another guy. Potential suitors: Browns, Broncos, and Panthers. Yeah.
So here's the question: If you're the Browns, I see it more for the Broncos perspective, but you're the Browns. How much is a quote unquote upgrade is Kirk Cousins from a healthy Baker?
Yeah, he's had a good season, right? But that I don't know if it's a huge upgrade. But then it's like
I don't think it is.
Then it goes to like Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, Tua, Jimmy Garoppolo, right? These kind of Jameis Winston.
Guys that are either over the hill or inconsistent.
Like, mid-tier, like very similar. Like you're saying, there's not a huge upgrade there. But, now if you get a chance to get Rodgers or Wilson, I'm in for that. The other ones, for me, isn't it an upgrade to have the Vikings guy? Why am I drawing a blank right now?
Cousins.
Yeah, for me, yeah, probably for the Broncos, right?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think for the Broncos it would be.
Yeah, and even like a Derek Carr, right? He's had a decent year this year, which would be weird. He's a Raider.
There's a team that talk about luck of the draw. I was talking to my father about them. I think the Raiders.
Yeah,
I think they're going to somehow, I think, see them sneaking into the playoffs. I don't know exactly what scenario. I think they're on the outside looking in, but I think they have a chance to get in.
yeah, and a big win over the
They
Colts, who were like the hottest team in the league. To be honest,
yeah,
like
but
they were.
they catch the Colts when hasn't practiced in like a week and a half.
Yeah, yeah,
They catch the Browns when like half our team. I think was that the game we were starting like our third string quarterback. I think.
probably, yeah,
And they win both games by a last second, time expiring field goal.
yeah.
Like, and the
Interesting. So
Browns
interesting
are
scenario. Did you see this? If the Colts lose, the Raiders and the Chargers play each other. If they just tie, they both get in the playoffs. So they could just sit. They could just keep kneeling the ball down.
Yeah, they just
Whole
have a
game.
little gentleman's agreement,
and they would tie, and they would both get in the playoffs if the Colts.
Vegas would be.
Yeah, the Colts are
Vegas would be so mad, so mad.
The Colts are a 16-point favorite over the Jags this weekend, so it's a stretch, but interesting scenario to throw out there. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I almost wish it would happen. Just because I texted this to my brothers, my father yesterday. I don't understand sports betting. Like, why wouldn't you just sell options in the stock market? It's betting with a better return rate, right? So
yeah.
I like literally, if you want to bet, like bet on the stock market effectively and make more money than like because the bets, like there's so many bad beats in actual sports betting. Like I don't know what the line was in the Browns game last night, right? But it was 19-14. It looked like that's what was going to be the score. So let's say the line was 6 or 6.5. I think the Browns might have even been favored, so it didn't matter. But also they get that late garbage touchdown that means nothing for the actual game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if the line was say Pittsburgh by 6, right? You go from potentially winning a bet to losing it on a garbage thing at the end, right? So I don't understand sports betting. It confuses me completely.
I saw a guy that posted he won his fantasy league because Baker threw that interception. The guy he was playing had Mayfield as quarterback, and he had Pittsburgh's defense. So that won him. You imagine?
I know my dad checked it at one point in time. I think it was pretty late in the game. Baker had more fantasy points than Roethlisberger, despite Baker being basically horrid.
Yeah. But that last interception flipped the score of the game and won the guy his fantasy football. It's crazy.
It's wild.
But you think about it, that's why sports betting is so insane, right? Because there's a game where it probably should be over, right?
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh runs the ball and scores somehow. Everyone in Earth knew they were running the ball, and they still ran the ball.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where you mean from a defensive perspective, you're selling out because you're trying to get the and so as soon as if a guy gets to the line of scrimmage, he's gone.
He's gone,
right?
And that's what happens.
The guys that are trying to tackle him are trying to strip because that's the only way you can have a chance of winning. So,
and then you get
happens.
Then you get the interception right after. Yeah, it's garbage time, right? Crazy stuff, man. But yeah, the playoff scenario is still, it's revealing itself. But then you see games where, like, I thought Dallas was going to be tough, and then they get beat this week, and Arizona looked bad a couple weeks ago, and then they look good, right? And the Rams squeaked out a win over the Ravens, a beat-up Ravens team. Depleted teams.
Yeah,
we're watching a lot of second and third stringers right now. We really are. It's going to be an interesting finish. And we had the Antonio Brown situation, which is it's wild. Whatever the reason, there's a lot of things floating around. Like, he was saying he was hurt, and the coaches, weren't listening to him, and then his incentives. He was almost ready to hit his incentives for the year for another $1 million. A lot of rumors, right? I don't know what. Who knows what the story was? I always just worry about the guy's mental health, right?
Yeah.
I think
I was reading something interesting. A few people mentioned it, like that he's never quite been right since he got knocked out by Perfect, which is one of the dirtiest hits in the league history.
Yeah, it was.
But I forgot who the guy on the Steelers that got Perfect back was, but that was an amazing sort of.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
The equivalent of a hockey like equivalency fight back or something, but
yeah,
I mean, it was.
It's like a life-changing hit, right? Maybe it did mess him up. Yeah. And I love, it's Tom Brady, right? A lot of people hate Tom Brady just because he's Tom Brady and he wins. But he said some good things in the press conference.
He did.
Made some good points. Yeah, it's easy to beat down a guy like that when he acts like that, right? But obviously something's going on, and he hopes he gets help, right? And then, it's definitely easy, right? All the memes are out there, and there's some funny things out there. The internet always wins with that stuff, right?
But, yeah, I mean, yes, and it's one of those things where it's like for many of us, I'm sure there's moments where we've lost our heads and done something.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I want to say stupid. I don't want to call it stupid because I mean it's just he got upset, right? He was like, I'm done with this, and walked off.
Yeah.
Right. If you've ever had a job or a day where you was like, screw it, I'm done, and just walked away. That's effectively what he had. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, he had it on
national TV.
Yeah. In front of a bunch of cameras.
Correct.
It's like, okay, well, it makes it seem worse than it is. Because what did he do? He took off his jersey, waved at people in the stands, and walked off the field. He didn't do anything bad. He didn't break any laws.
No,
right.
No.
And we make this big deal about it because it's like, okay. Right. Like that we yell at that, but a guy can basically almost try to commit murder on the field by going after someone's head. And we go, well, that was kind of a dirty hit, but he comes out the next play, right? Like he's back into the next play doing, and it's fine. So
yeah. And
it's weird. It's weird. The standards you set in football, what's acceptable and what's not.
Yeah. And everything's kind of knee jerk, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's crazy, right? But well, maybe he is, right? Maybe he's got some issues that he needs to work on. But there's probably been a lot of people that have been in that same mindset at work, right? Where they just want to leave and they're done. But props too to Mike Evans. You could tell he was trying to get him to
Yeah, he tried to calm him down.
Yeah, he tried, right? And that's a good teammate to me. That's a guy who cares, right? So, you just never know. You're not in these situations. You don't know what's happening on the sideline. His track record doesn't help him, right? We know he's struggled with other teams before and had some incidents. So
he reminds me of the Metallica song "Self-Destruct."
Yeah,
and because he just self-destructs on every team eventually.
Yep, and it's he couldn't be in a better situation, I don't think, than in Tampa, right? With Brady, and they won the Super Bowl.
Well, and to me, it's also right after they brought him back after the COVID stuff. Like to me, as just a person in society, and if I was on the Bucs organization, to me, the COVID thing is a way. I mean, it's technically a felony, right? It's a felony offense. That's a way bigger issue than you getting mad and walking off the field. And yet,
I would say
there's been more coverage about the latter than the former.
Yeah, and he was out for that and his ankle injury, right? And he just came back this week.
Yeah,
who knows? But it just an interesting development, and I think it affects Tampa Bay a lot. Football.
Oh yeah.
Godwin's out, right? And then they lose him. Two big receivers that were really helping their team, and now a little short, right? So we'll see how that affects them heading forward. Absolutely. A lot of interesting ends of the season things going on here.
All right. Speaking of ends, let's do our picks for the last week 18 here.
Yeah.
Which should be interesting because this is we have playoff scenarios. We also have teams that are completely out of it and probably done. We have other teams that might be fine with their season and can't change it, so they might be sitting people. So we'll start on Saturday. First game of the weekend is Kansas City at Denver. I do not have playoff scenarios in front of me. Is Kansas City playing for the number 1 seed in the AFC?
I think they have a chance. I could pull up.
No, I'm picking Kansas City. It's in Denver.
Yeah.
I'm picking Kansas City.
Kansas City's going to win. Let's get that out of the way early. Whether they're playing for it or not, they're going to win either way.
I'm looking up NFL lines. Las Vegas odds. What is this? I'll click on this. All right, let's see here. I don't. This is a guy that doesn't bet has to read lines here. No, I'm not going to bother. All right, so the second game is let's see here. This is Saturday night. Dallas at Philly. This. What is this for? Man, I want to say, I think Philly actually wins that game.
Yeah, so Philly's in, right? They're in the playoffs. They clinched. But Dallas can't get a first seed, but still playing for seeding, really. They're 11-5, and then there's some 12-4 teams. So, it's kind of a big game, I think, for Dallas, really, for seeding purposes.
I'll say this: the line I'm seeing on Fox Sports is Dallas -7. I take Philly in the points.
I can see that. Yeah, I think Dallas wins the game though.
Yeah, I'm going to change it. I think Dallas wins, but I don't think they win by 7. I think they look lethargic, refuse to run the ball, even though that's the best path to victory. And
have a bad turnover as usual.
Yeah. Dak has numbers that when you look at the numbers will look okay, just like this past weekend. But when you watch the game, you're like, he does not look good.
Yeah. It's a weird scenario there with all the weapons they have, too. Another team, tons of weapons.
All right. Cincy at Cleveland. Now, I think so. Cleveland's not playing for anything, obviously. Maybe just jobs at this point.
Yeah.
But Cincy, I think, can maybe improve their.
Well, they're 10. So they're 10-6, and the Bills are 10-6. The Patriots are 10-6. Chiefs are 11-5. Right. So yeah, maybe they can improve a little bit there.
Yeah. So if you're Cincy, you kind of probably want to win this game.
Yeah.
And I think the Browns are toast. Give me Cincy. I think Cincy's playing well.
To me, they're the feel good team of the year right now. They really are.
They're hard to root against. I mean. As an Ohio guy, I was watching their game against Kansas City, and obviously, as a Cleveland fan, I want Kansas City to win because that kept Cleveland's hopes alive.
Yeah, and a great game. It was the best game of the weekend too. It was a great game.
Yeah, but I mean, Joe Burrow is just so good. Jamar Chase
is
how do you complete a 3rd and 27?
Or how about there was just a little slant and he just ran away from everybody.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god,
bye.
What am I watching right now? You talk about separating yourself. Wow. That guy is good. It was a great game. The coach was visibly elated when they won, right? That's the kind of stuff I like to see. A team who's been down, right, last couple of years. And you could see he was upset, almost so happy that they won. So that was cool to see.
So for some reason they have the Brown. I mean, so this is, I don't know when this was last updated, this foxsports.com line I'm happy to look at, but they have Browns -1.5. Take Cincy in the points, man.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Cincy wins that game.
Yeah. All right, Green Bay at Detroit. Green Bay. This is in Detroit, but it's Green Bay. Even without, I don't think Rodgers plays, or maybe he plays like a quarter. I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure they have the first seed locked up, right?
Yeah, I don't think they can do it. Nothing changes. So yeah, I think Green Bay wins this, even though Detroit will probably play them tighter than you'd expect. But if Rodgers doesn't play, that would make sense. Chicago at Minnesota. Probably Matt Nagy's last game as coach of the Bears.
Yeah.
Is Minnesota playing for anything here?
The Vikings are 7-9, so I'm going to say no.
So they're out.
Yeah, and the Bears are 6-10. So
yeah, so this is a game for no one.
Yeah, this is. I think the Vikings win.
Chicago at Minnesota.
I think they're actually better than
Chicago. I'm going to take Chicago. I'm going to take the upset. I'm taking Chicago.
Okay.
Mainly because I have no clue. I don't know who's going to play, so I'm taking Chicago. They played well this past weekend. They put up a lot of points. Washington football team at the New York Giants. I think New York is self-destructed worse than Cleveland has. So give me Washington.
Yeah, that's an easy pick. I think Washington wins. New York is imploding.
Yeah, badly. Indianapolis at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Give me Indianapolis.
Yeah, must wins for the Colts if they want to get in.
And Jacksonville has nothing to play for.
Nope.
Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I think both teams still have a really outside chance to get in.
Yeah, I know Pittsburgh does.
Give me Baltimore. I think Lamar plays if it's their only chance to get in the playoffs. I think he's able to come out. And Huntley, even if he doesn't, I think Huntley has been okay. And I think Pittsburgh's back, even though they beat us last night. I don't think they're a good team. So
yeah, I think it all depends. So if the Colts win, I think that automatically the Ravens and Steelers are out. Yeah,
but they're playing at the same time, so they have to play.
Yeah, and then it's like then you have the Chargers and the Raiders. So Chargers, Raiders, and Colts are all 9-7. Ravens are 8-8. Steelers are 8-7-1. So that's your scenarios there. And then somebody has to win the Chargers and Raiders game, right? Well, they don't have to technically, but yeah, the tie.
Yeah, give me Baltimore in that game.
Yeah, I think Baltimore wins that. I think Ben had his little,
his last hurrah, and I think everyone got up for this game because it's the Browns.
Yeah.
It's at home. It makes sense.
So
Tennessee at Houston. I think Houston's really bad. I think Tennessee is really good. The Vrabel's has to have win Coach of the Year basically for what he's done.
Yeah, and they're still playing for that 1 seed, right? They have to.
I think so.
The Chiefs and them are 11-5. So
yeah, give me Tennessee.
Yeah, if the Chiefs win and they lose, then I'd assume the Chiefs get the 1 seed.
Is Henry coming back? There's rumors that he might be back maybe this week or for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. So that would be a big. Yeah.
Although the other guy's running really well, so good for him. Way to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yep.
And my apologies for not knowing the guy's name.
I can't see his name on his jersey. He's got long hair.
He's got all really long hair.
Yeah, I kept trying to see it the other day, and I couldn't see his name.
I'm always jealous of the long hair because I can't grow hair.
Yeah.
New Orleans at Atlanta. I believe this is a worthless bowl. Is New Orleans in? What is their record?
No.
8-8. No, they're out. They have to be out.
Saints are out.
Atlanta stinks.
Well, Saints are 8-8. Falcons are 7-9. Falcons actually had a chance. They were 7-8 last week. They could have gone 9-8. Right, that was their best potential, but they lost. I think the Saints win. Ugly game.
Ugly is a good way to describe it. I'm gonna say I'll go with you. I'll go Saints. I don't really feel good about. Technically, Saints are on the brink, so they might. I'm checking CBS Sports right now. And apparently, there must be some way for the Saints to still get in. They are not officially eliminated. It's probably like a 1% chance to get in. So it looks like they would have to. The Eagle with a 40. It probably looks like the 49ers would have to lose or something. But yeah, give me the Saints. They're playing for something. I think it's ugly though. New York Jets, who actually played pretty well this past weekend at Buffalo. I guess Buffalo.
I believe they would have. They're tied, right? 10-6 in the division. So, yeah, they need to win.
Yeah, they're kind of in the same spot as the Bengals, where they can maybe improve to slightly better seating. Yeah, give me the Bills.
Yeah, them in the past.
They're playing for too much. New York's playing for too little in their home.
Yep.
San Fran at the Los Angeles Rams in SoFi. So Rams are home here. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I like the Rams. They're still playing for seeding. Division 49ers playing for the playoffs. They could be 10-7 if they won. I mean, Garoppolo's out. Lance looked okay. I still like the Rams.
Yeah, I think Los Angeles is still a little bit of a, for as good as their record is, they're 12-4 right now. They are a bit of a mystery team as to which version of them will show up.
Yeah.
There's weeks they come out and they look amazing, and then there's weeks they come out like this past week against the Ravens where they can't get going. They march down the field and then turn it over.
Yep.
Inside in the red zone. It's very confusing. But I think they rebound. I think they win this weekend. New England at Miami. It's hard to pick against New England here, to be honest.
Yeah, especially
Miami's
after
Miami.
Miami looked terrible last week.
Yeah, give me New England. They're playing. Yeah, because their hope is they win, Bills lose, and they win the division. So yeah, give me the New England Patriots. Miami's, I think, packing it in for the offseason.
Yeah.
Just like the Browns. Seattle at Arizona.
Yeah, I think Arizona wins there. They kind of need to win too to improve seeding and yada yada.
Yeah, give me them. Carolina at Tampa Bay. I think Carolina is done, so give me Tampa Bay. They're at home.
Yeah, they could lock up the 2 seed, I believe, with a win. Make them 13-4.
And then the Chargers at the Raiders. Somehow so between these two teams, even though they have the same record right now, right?
Yeah. This is my big pick.
No, Chargers are 9-7. Oh yeah, no, they're the same, but both 9-7. This is weird because I think the Chargers are a good team that tends to not play well occasionally, and I think the Raiders are a bad team that has gotten lucky with some breaks and done just enough to win.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I'm taking the Chargers. I don't think they tie.
I'm calling it. The Colts lose, and then they're going to tie. No, I'm just kidding. I pick the Colts to win. No, I think the Chargers are the better team. Whether that plays out like that, we'll see. But I pick the Chargers. They just, to me, they're better overall. They've showed it sometimes, and they're another team that some weeks you're like, what the heck happened to the Chargers? Just weird.
I'll put it this way. I think the Chargers' ceiling is much higher than the Raiders'
Yeah,
ceiling.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the way I feel, is that their ceiling's much higher. I think the Raiders are like just good enough to be maybe a playoff team. I don't really think they are. And the Chargers could be a team that wins some playoff games at their best.
And the Raiders have just kind of been a tough, scrappy team, right? I'll give them that. Right, they've dealt with what they've had a crazy year with the Gruden thing, and then the wide receiver guy that got in a bad car accident, drunken driving thing, like just a lot of
rugs.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. And here they are; they got a chance, right? So you got to give them credit for that. They've had some weird game wins and like just where they're playing like half of a team at some points, But here they are with a chance. But I still think the Chargers, like you said, are the higher ceiling team, better team overall. So,
yeah. Well, it should be interesting. It's always, the week before is always an interesting week because you have teams that are playing really hard and teams that have already on their off season effectively.
They got their golf clubs ready.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yeah.
Kenny, thanks for coming on as always.
Yeah, man. My pleasure.
We should be back next week. I will say this, the schedule for releases, we know we've been releasing on Tuesdays, may change. The reason for that is my semester is changing, obviously. So my schedule of recording may change a little bit. We'll see. I should talk about that with Kenny. But it should be close to the same dates, probably Tuesdays or maybe Wednesdays. We'll see. All right. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Yes, sir. See ya.